Hi everyone, this is Anna from Koala Soap, and I had to take some time off because as many of you know, I'm in the medical field, and we had quite a year and it was stressful, and I've lost a few friends, and it took its toll. I wasn't completely inactive though. While I was gone from doing anything, I actually wrote books. I used the pen name of Catherine Walton. Catherine is my Aunt Catherine, who is just a wonderful person, and Uncle Walter is her husband, my uncle, who's a wonderful guy. And then Ann is the first two letters of my last name. These books are cozy mysteries. They're small, but you know what? It was a challenge. This set is darker. This is a little bit lighter, like just, witch trying to solve a mystery with her talking cat type thing. So I'm actually writing books too, and I try to spend a couple hours a day writing a couple chapters to just try to unwind. So I will leave links to those books. They're actually free. They're on YouTube. They're audio books, so you can actually listen to them in your car or wherever. Feel free. I would love some feedback on them, but please remember that it's very hard as a nurse to go from documenting about something in the ER versus something like Murder, She Wrote. So go easy on me. It's new territory for me. So this one I'm going to dedicate this one to my friend Kim, who's no longer with us. And this is a cloud soap, and it looks like, to me, heavenly. This is also known as wave soap. I'm going to call it a cloud soap, but I've had both of these molds for quite a while now, and I've always wondered, like, what is the difference between these molds? I mean, they look the same on the inside, but are they really the same? So some of the questions I get from people are, how do you know how much to put in each cavity of soap? So I'm going to show you right now. What I do is I fill one of these with just some water, and it's not exact, okay? It really isn't. And then what I'll do is I will pour the water in one cavity, okay? Pour it to about the filling. I will then put it on the scale. I will then zero the scale, and because this is flexible, I understand it's going to go into the other cavities, and that's okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour it all right back into there and get a weight that way. So what I got for this one, and I did it in a Sharpie, and as you can see, it kind of wants to rub off. This was about 3.6 ounces. And I did the same with this one. Now this one was a little bit more rigid, so that's the first thing I noticed. It almost looks the same height, but this one's just a little bit flatter. And this turned out to be 3.1 ounces. So now we have an idea. But what I want to see is, what about the inside? Do they look alike? This mold tends to be a little bit cheaper on Amazon. This one's heavier. It's more flexible, so I don't know, will it bow more? I don't think this one will bow as easily. So that's what we're going to do today. So what I've done is I've taken, since these are about 3.5, we'll just make it even, it's about 7 ounces if you do a cavity here and a cavity here, okay? So I have about 7 ounces of soap. This is shea butter melt and pour. 7 ounces here. This is crystal clear melt and pour. And then I have just a little bit here of the shea butter, because you know how I like to make it looks like the caps on the waves. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and melt these down. Today we're going to be using my favorite blue ice, so it looks like a sky. But then I wanted a contrast. I was going to do a baby blue, but I thought, let's do something so we could really kind of see the difference. And so this one, I'm not sure, I think this is their watermelon from Stardust Mica. We're going to use Love Spell, and we'll get started. Both of these down. I'm going to go ahead and pour this into our molds now, because this one, I'm not going to put any fragrance in. I'm not going to do anything to it, because it's just going to be like the little, just the clouds. I'm not sure the word I'm looking for. I do that when I'm writing too. I can't tell you how many times I've left the source open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pour this in the mold here. Just like going to let it cover the bottom part there, just like that. And I'm going to do the same here. And normally what I would do is squirt this down with alcohol, but we're going to be pouring it out. Now, like I said, this one is more rigid. So you should always own one of these molds. This here is good for your excess that you could reuse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it swirl around, and then I'm going to pour it out. And I'm just going to, depending on how much I want peeking through there, I'm going to do the same with this one too. And I mean, I knew I was going to have a bit left over, and that's okay. That's okay. Now you can see there's a little pour mark here. I'm just going to leave it alone. I will peel it off when it gets cooler. Okay, so we're done now with our shea butter. Unscented and just leaving it alone. And I'm going to put it off to the side. Now this one I'm going to half out. This is our crystal clear melt and pour. The first thing I could do though is I could go ahead and put our fragrance in. So this is approximately 7 ounces. And what I do is I'll use 5 mLs of a fragrance per pound. So we're doing roughly half that. So I'm going to take my pipette. This is a 3 cc pipette. This is our love spell. Oh, first, let's see how hot it is. That's a good... Okay, 142. So let me just make sure that I have a little clump in there. I just want to make sure that skin wasn't... Okay, so between 135 and 142. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out. I am going to put 2.5 mLs of the Love Spell in. So this is a 3 cc, 1 and 2. So I'm just going to look at it there. Okay. Put that off to the side. Now, even though this is a crystal clear melt and pour, the more you start playing with it, the cloudier it will get. So if you're going to be doing a picture or anything like that, you really don't want to play with this at all. But we're going to be putting mica in it, so it's okay. Okay, so we're just going to half it out. And I'm not sure, I'm not going to measure it exactly. I'm going to just try to eyeball it. And that looks about right. So there should be enough for each of these. What I should do now is squirt this with alcohol, because that I'm going to need it to adhere. So I don't have my pouring one. You can either squirt it in there, which I tend to get a little bit of a wafting thing going on, and I don't like it. So I'm going to have to get my other alcohol, because I like to just pour a little bit in there. And then I'm just going to have that out here too. Okay, so now we're going to use this watermelon, and we're going to put that in there and stir it up. A lot of people ask me where I get these little spoons. They're from our local yogurt shop, so our gelato place. So what I do is I ask them for some extra spoons, and they always happily give it to me, and I just save them up. And no, I have not ordered more blue eyeshadow from Stardust. I've been meaning to. I'm going to make sure it's nice and mixed. And same here. We're going to go ahead and pour that one in. And just as you can see, there's some that's mixed in there. I'm just going to go ahead and squirt it. Just try to get every drop of mica out of there. And I'm going to do the same with this. Yeah, people have asked, why can't I just put the mica directly into the soap? Well, what happens with that, and I know because that's how I learned, is you'll get like speckles, and it won't mix well either. The alcohol helps it mix. Now, there have been times when I will mix it with like a drop of distilled water when I do my tie-dyed soaps. But really, you don't want to mess with the chemical makeup too much, and so a drop of water, a distilled water, I feel okay with, but it's really not something I would want to put too much water in at all. Okay, so these are now mixed pretty well. I don't want to pour it until it's at least, so this is 101, so that's pretty good, and 119, but the thing is I need to make sure has a little skin on it, which it does. I'm going to let this develop just a smidge more of a skin, because if I pour this right now, even though these are pretty cool, what's going to happen is I think it's going to mix a little bit too much more than I want it to mix. So what I'm going to do, and here's the deal, if this cools and then these have really thick skins, not a problem. Just stick them in the microwave for like 10 seconds, re-stir them up, and you should be fine. It shouldn't burn off the fragrance because you're going to keep it below that flash point. So what we'll do is we'll be back in about, I think about 5 minutes, and we'll go ahead and pour. Okay, so these are both, I changed the battery in my thermo gun here, and so they're both at about 117, 115. I did not reheat them. These have a nice skin on it, and the way I'm kind of gauging that is you could take a skewer or a chopstick or even a little spoon. Instead of touching this part, I'm just going to touch the little part here that I over poured, and it's got a nice skin on it. Double check in there, it's got a nice skin on it. So this is cool enough, so this shouldn't pop through and mix it, but you know, who knows. It's been a while, so I'm bound to do something here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to squirt it with alcohol. That will help it adhere. This is, I believe, I'll put the links below. I think it's a 90, it's up there. It's over 95%, I'm pretty sure. I just reused this squirting thing. So here we go. Okay, and we're back. So these have cooled down enough, and we're going to go ahead and unmold them. Okay, I can tell that the one that's the most rigid is a little hard to unmold, but it's doable. I guess you have to be really careful that you do not pour too much of a white ebbing part on. Oh, so that looks really good. I see that. It's really pretty. That's pretty. Okay. Okay, so this one is a little bit more flexible. And I'm going to take my remnants, I'm going to put it in my little pink mold that's off camera. Okay, this one's much easier to unmold. This one is the more expensive one. Oh, see, look at that. And then we'll have to clean up the sides. Now, even though we measured it and we said about 3.1 to 3.6, as you saw, when I poured it down, it didn't fill the cavities. So just know that this is just an approximation. Okay, but it'll get you close to it, which is good. And what you're going to do in the back here is you can take a little vegetable peeler or just a little knife, and you can just kind of sand that off. It smells really good. It's really pretty. They look almost identical as far as height and width go, okay? Where you're going to see a little bit of the difference is probably right here. But again, because I didn't measure it completely and I wasn't able to fill these cavities up completely, I don't want to weigh them, but I do know that they're both approximately 3.5 to 3.6 ounces. But if I were going to sell these and I wanted to decide which mold, I don't know if you could tell a difference. This more rigid one is less expensive. This one was a little bit more expensive. I got them both on Amazon. All the links are down below. I'm not sure I see a big difference here, and I don't think I would know within a few ounces. I have little blue on here because I was putting them together. So actually, I guess if you want to save a little bit of money, this would be the way. This is how I would do it. And then I would also maybe couple it with, you know, maybe a bath bomb, you know, maybe a sugar scrub or something like that. This is absolutely beautiful. and it does look more like waves than clouds. I don't think Kimmy would mind, but I really do love this mold. This is one of my favorite molds to work with. Okay, so now we know that this mold to me is just as good as this mold. This mold is a little bit more rigid, less bowing. I don't really can tell that, but here I can tell that if you can see how it, when you fill it up, it's going to go out a little bit. Here it's a little bit more rigid. And a little bit lower, but I really can't tell that again because this mold is so thick here. Honestly, I think they're going to be about the same. I think what we'll do is we'll do another experiment, and then we're going to weigh the soaps, but seriously, they're within an ounce, if that. So this is our soap. Thank you for having me back. These are the books. They are free on YouTube to listen to. They're completely clean. There's no cussing. There's no, heavy petting or anything like that. So I wrote it because my aunt's name is on it, and my kids might listen to it, so it's family friendly. So please go ahead and listen to some of the books. The Hill Cozy mystery ones, these are lighter hearted. These are with, a grandmother that kind of takes after my mother. These are a little bit more kind of with me in it. This series, the Bailey Bay, this is a little bit darker, and I have to say I kind of enjoyed writing The Hill. I like lighter stuff, Murder, She Wrote kind of stuff better. So these are the books I'm actually going to start writing more of. Anyway, so we will be back, and I will have a whole new episode for you shortly, and I hope you have a really good weekend. Thanks a lot. Bye.